Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's me, Psychic Charm, and today I'm going to be talking about Game 4 between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the San Antonio Spurs. So we'll go ahead and get started. So let's address the elephant in the room. Wembanyama got ejected in the first quarter. Would the Wolves have won this game if he played? Maybe, maybe not. Who's to say? Because that's just really hard to tell because certain guys step up when a guy goes out sometimes. It's hard to say for sure, but I think it was a clear ejection. I don't really know what people are arguing about here. I think that Wemby looked over there, glanced in his direction first, and then threw the elbow. I think it's pretty clear what happened in the clip. I don't really know, what people are arguing. If you throw your elbows around, you know that there's a risk of hurting somebody. If you've ever played basketball, you're grabbing a rebound, you throw your elbows around, the odds are you're going to hit somebody. And your elbows are pretty high if you're Wemby, hit somebody in the head. So I understand, if you want to take the most charitable interpretation of what happened and think that, he was just trying to grab a rebound and keep everybody out of the way because they're playing him really physically. I don't buy it, mainly because he glanced in his direction. So I don't really know what people are arguing with that. But people love Wemby, so they'll defend him. If people hate you in the NBA, they're going to shit on you like how they shit on Shea. And if they love you, they're going to defend you like Jokic or Wemby. That's just how the cookie crumbles. His presence was missed, and I think that really influenced this game, though. Mainly in the Spurs played small in the fourth, which I'll kind of get into later. Mainly the rebound differential and second chance points. So the Spurs had 15 second chance points to the Wolves 24 second chance points, and that'll come to bite you. And especially in the fourth quarter, it felt like the Wolves were getting every offensive rebound and just timely ones as well, and that really halted the wind in the Spurs sails there. So firstly, for the Wolves, Julius Randle had an okay game. He had 6 turnovers. He's not been really great in this series like he was versus the Nuggets. He was a plus 12, which was the highest box plus minus on the team, and he didn't shoot the ball abysmally like last game. Now, some of that could have been influenced because, again, Wembanyama was out, but in order for them to win, he's just going to have to play better, and he played all right, which was good enough for this game. Ant had a really good game, 36 points, which I believe is the most he's had this playoff run. He really carried in the fourth quarter, just making just ridiculously tough shots. Fadeaways, three-pointers. If you're going to drop on that screen, I'm going to shoot it, and it felt like that just got the Wolves, got their home stadium into it as well, but just got the whole team just jiving. And his presence has been huge, and him coming back from hyperextending his knee and playing this well is really keeping them in this series, and it'd probably be a sweep by now if he wasn't. Adesumu didn't really have a great game. I think he shot 3 of 12 from the field or something like that, but he did hit 2 really clutch free throws late in the game. He is still coming back from injury, so some of that could be some rust from that. He's also going to have to play better. Jaden McDaniels as well. This was a close game after all, and the Wolves nearly blew it, which I'll kind of get to towards the end, but the Wolves nearly blew it in the fourth quarter. But Mike Conley had a good game early. Unfortunately, I didn't get to catch the early parts because I was busy, but he had 8 points in 11 minutes, and that is huge. Mike Conley has been good in this series, and that has been it's been very important for the Wolves. I noticed that Bones Highland hasn't gotten any play time in this game, and he's not really been good in this series. Maybe he'll flip that around, but he's kind of lost in their bench. Terrence Shannon also didn't have a great game, but really it was second chance points that carried the Wolves, so a lot of these guys didn't have good games through their field goal percentage. But Naz Reid, thought he was hurt in the fourth quarter at one point. It might have been the third, I forget exactly when it was, but went down. He collided knees, I believe it was with Luke Cornett. Naz Reid was just getting banged up this game, I guess. Poor Naz Reid, but 6 of 12 from the field. He is such a gifted ball handler for his size and everything. I remember there was one play in particular where Luke Cornett, he got a switch onto Luke Cornett. Luke Cornett dropped on the screen, and then just Naz Reid just attacked him and just got an easy layup. And then after that, I think that's distinctly when the Spurs just started playing small. The Wolves as a whole, they managed to win this one. They managed to win games. They just find a way, and credit to them. This is going to go 6 games this series now, so we get to have a good second round series because a lot of these have been kind of boring, to be honest, which is why I've not really been covering them as much. But for the Spurs, my notes for them: Fox, He tried to carry kind of late to some success. He shot 8 of 23 from the field as a whole, which wasn't great. At one point in Sacramento, he was the guy, so I'm not really mad at him for attempting to do that after Wemby went out, but he wasn't the most effective at it. Castle had a great game, and he's just had a great series as a whole. Like, every game it feels like he's playing good defense, and he's just a great two-way player. Especially on Julius Randle. They decided to put him on Julius Randle, and I think he really gives him trouble. And he's a really great player. He had him a good game, shot the ball efficiently, and the Spurs guard rotation continues to be a problem for Minnesota to handle, especially their quickness, and they really beat them a lot in transition. I think the Spurs barely beat the Wolves this game in transition points without Wemby, which, I could still see, but, Wemby is a really good target in transition, especially when he leaks out. Julian Champagnie didn't really have a good game for the Spurs, just their shooters. He didn't have a good game, which he's had a good series, but I think he was 2 of 8 from the field, and I don't think he hit a single three. He had a good block on Ant, but I believe it was called a foul, which I didn't think was a foul at all. I think he got all ball first, and any contact after that was marginal, and that's just kind of, that can happen when you get a block. You sometimes can hit a guy after, and that happens. But Devin Vassell is continuing to have a pretty good series, shot 6 of 10 from the field. And he's been a quiet kind of X factor for the Spurs. He's been a dependable shooter and a dependable source of offense. I think it was game 3, he hit a really tough fadeaway over Rudy Gobert. And he's been really special in this series, as well as Dylan Harper, who has been really, really good in this series. I feel like he's not had a bad game. Maybe I'm wrong, but he shot 8 of 11 from the field, 7 of 7 from the line, and he's just really good getting downhill and just, he's crafty with his footwork around the basket. That guy's great. There's a reason why he went 2nd overall. Luke Cornett had a good game, but they didn't play him late because he was being targeted, and especially with that play earlier I mentioned about Naz Reid. After that, they decided just to bench him. And after that, they went small, which then they started getting killed on the boards. But it did help them in transition push the pace. A couple of times it almost bit him in the ass. I think 2 possessions in a row, De'Aaron Fox almost lost the ball. I think on one of them he did, but then the next one he did, and then he got it back, and then he hit a tough mid-range jump shot, which I was like, well, there's not really much you can do about that. But overall, the Spurs really didn't play bad. It was just Wemby being out, shocker, but really hurts them. Kind of the overview for the game, Wemby being ejected did kind of save the Wolves, it felt like, but who knows? The Wolves may have figured out how to win this ball game, because that's just the Wolves for you. They figure out a way sometimes, but the big question is, does he get suspended? And I don't know. I don't think he does. I think that I would be shocked if he got suspended personally. I think that he's too high profile of a player, which doesn't mean you can't get suspended, but I would just be really shocked if he did, because, I thought it was an ejection, but I don't think it's one of those where it's like, oh, that's definite, you need to suspend the guy. But I think the league likes Wemby, so I don't think they're going to do it. But that is what my gut is telling me. But maybe he does get suspended, and I'll eat crow, and I'll come on here in the next video and say I was wrong. Like I said, for the Wolves, a lot of their guys are just going to have to shoot the ball better. Even with Wemby out, just Randall, McDaniels, Terrence Shannon, and Ayo Dosunmu weren't shooting the ball particularly well at all. And they did figure out a way to win this game, but I don't know if that's going to work in Game 5, especially if Wemby's back. And in San Antonio, if they continue to play like this, the Spurs are going to win this series. But the advantage is that Game 6, regardless, will be in Minnesota. Minnesota has on the season a 26-15 home record, which isn't crazy, but in the playoffs, they feel like they have a really good home crowd, which I can't exactly quantify, but they feel like they have one of the better home arenas in basketball. And in an elimination game, I wouldn't be surprised if the Wolves pull it out and force a Game 7 if Wemby is there or not. If Wemby does get suspended, it's probably going to be for one game. If this goes to 7, I wouldn't be shocked if the Wolves win. I wouldn't be shocked if the Spurs win. I probably lean Timberwolves if it goes 7 games, mainly because I don't know. There's something I just trust about their playoff experience more in a Game 7, but it is a Game 7 and anything can happen. But at the same time too, like Anthony Edwards has been there and he's a big time performer. Maybe their other guys won't show up like McDaniels, Io, and Randall. I mean, the same thing could happen for the Spurs. I mean, we don't know how Wemby will be in a Game 7. We've never seen him. I've seen Fox in one Game 7. I remember him playing pretty solid, but he's not the guy anymore like he was in Sacramento, and I don't know how all these other guys will. And maybe it's just superstition, who knows? I wouldn't be totally shocked if the Spurs won a Game 7, but I don't think you want to play a Game 7 against the Wolves. And if you're the Wolves, you don't want to play a Game 7 against the Spurs too, but you know, you'd rather get this thing done in 6. I don't see the Wolves winning 2 in a row here. I'd be shocked if the Wolves won this in 6 games, just based on the problems that they're having. But I would also be shocked if the Spurs win in 6 games, though, too, because the Wolves, I mean, they continue to find ways just to win games. That's what they've done a lot of their playoff, a lot of this team's existence. I mean, they did that against the Denver Nuggets in 2024, but they always find a way to just win games and, you know, do that against, you know, competition that seems to be better than they are. If the Wolves do win the series, I don't know how I feel against them against the OKC Thunder, mainly because, especially late in this game, there was a lot of ball pressure the Spurs were applying, and the Wolves could not handle it. I remember Ant turned it over one play. He about turned it over. They had to call a timeout. There was a turnover late, I believe Io DeSumo, or maybe it was Julius Randle, I forget who, turned the ball over, and Julian Champagnie got a layup or a dunk. I forget. It was just a blur at that point. I was like, oh, the Spurs might be in this again. And they about turned it over. One of the Wolves guys, I forget who again, got triple teamed. And I was like, oh no. And they had to call a timeout. And then they got it to Io. And then Io caught the ball. And the ball hit his leg because he had to jump up and get it. And it bounced off of his fingertips and landed on, I think, his calf and bounced back to him. And that kind of was luck. And the Wolves are just a lucky team sometimes. I think if they play the Thunder, I mean, the Spurs have a lot of good perimeter defenders, and I'm not trying to take away from them, but I think that I'd give the Thunder the edge on that. Castle and, you know, all those guys, you know, are, you know, they have a pretty good perimeter defense. Anyways, this is a long rant, so, but my final kind of prediction where I'm at, I think I'm going to go Wolves in 7, but I might eat crow on that, but we'll see. So I'll take the slings and arrows of it right now because that's not a popular take, but maybe I'm stupid. I don't know. Thank y'all for watching. I'm trying to upload more and stuff, so I'd appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, commented, do all that usual YouTube stuff, and share the video. And y'all see me in the next video here. I might talk about the Pistons and the Cavs Game 4, so stick around for that. Anyways, peace out, y'all.